Ooh, beautiful shot.
I'm first going to look at you in the impact position because it's the most important. Everything the ball does, how far it goes, how high it goes, how much it spins and curves, is a direct response to the laws of physics in motion at the brief moment of impact. On the left is Tiger hitting an iron. This is video I took at last year's US Open. On the right is Grant Waite hitting the driver. Grant was a PGA Tour player during the 90s and now is one of the top instructors of tour players. Grant's teaching partner is a good friend of mine, Joe Mayo, who lives in Las Vegas. Grant was considered by many as having one of the best and most fundamentally sound golf swings. At impact, they both have the majority of their weight on the left side. In fact, the average pro will have 85 to 90% of their weight on the left side at impact. I've drawn a red box from the center of their ankles to the top of their head, and you can see that the red line off their left foot is passing right through their belt buckle, showing how the center of their mass is right on top of their left foot. They both have extended arms through impact. Their elbows are close together and not separating. Having extended arms and weight forward allows them to control the low point of their arc of their swing. When hitting the iron, this fundamental allows the placement of the low point to be in front of the ball, so that they hit the ball first and then the ground, producing the maximum compression of the golf ball. These fundamentals also allows for the highest level of consistency in controlling the face angle and club path during impact. Okay, Lance, going to look at your full swing with the iron. First, I'm going to compare you to Tiger, and I'm starting in the impact position. First, I like to look at the weight distribution at impact. I think it's one of the more important pieces of the fundamentals of good impact. Now, you do have the majority of your weight on your left side. That's good. Tiger has a little bit more weight on his left side than you do, but I'm not seeing a real issue here. Any tendency that you might have to hit it fat or thin, if that is too frequent, the reason may come back to your weight distribution. If you did have more weight on your left side, similar to what the pros have, looks like you're maybe 65-70% of your weight on your left side, whereas the pros will be 85 or 90. And the more you can get to the left side in your downswing, the more consistently you're going to position the low point in front of that golf ball, and you'll just hit them a little bit more crisp and solid. But I'm not sure that's a major issue right now for your swing. Let's look at the post-impact position. As Tiger comes through, when his right arm is parallel to the ground on the post-impact position, his wrists are crossed, his left hand is underneath the right hand. Let's look at your post-impact position. When your right arm is there, I do like the fact that you've crossed the wrist. You are rehinging really well. You can see how you almost have a right angle at this point. So you have a nice rehinge. That's really good. And you continue. And the other thing that you've done, which is really good, is you've continued to move to that left side, so you didn't get stuck at impact. You went ahead and continued moving through. So that's really good. Also, like Tiger, your eyes are at that position are still down. So that's very, very good. Now I'm going to take both of you up to the final finish. As Tiger finishes, he finishes nice and tall, fully extended, really almost stretching upward. If I drew a line right up through the center of his ankle, he's posting up on that left leg. All of his mass is going right through his left knee, left hip, right through his spine. So he's really solid on that left side, and his back foot is on the tip of the toe. Let's look at your finish. Now, you don't look exactly like Tiger, but you have adopted the basic concept of a good finish. You're solid on your left side. You're not quite as far posting up on the leg. You've come off the back foot. It's not completely turned, but it's a good finish. And we don't make swing changes just because we're trying to shape ourselves into some perfect model. We only make swing changes in order to change the ball flight. If you're hitting consistent shots, consistent drives in the fairway, consistent iron shots onto the green and with good control and accuracy and hitting it consistently solid, there's no reason to make a swing change. If you're struggling with shot making, if ball flight is inconsistent, then we look at the cause of that being somewhere in the swing mechanics. And then we look and find those mechanics that have to be adjusted, and we adjust them, and then the ball flight gets better. But it starts with identifying a ball flight error that we need to improve. And then we search for the cause of that ball flight error within the components and the mechanics of the swing, and we then change that. During our round, you hit 69% of the fairways, which is about tour average, if not slightly above. And you hit 60% of the greens we played. And that was during some pretty good wind. So there's no compelling reason to try to make a swing change because we don't really have ball flight errors right now. Hence, I like the fact that you are a field player. And it would be a mistake to try to get you to think mechanics too much right now. You're just hitting the ball too well. You control the golf ball with your feelings and that you've trained. And we just need to be careful and not mess with your swing because you're hitting too many fairways and greens. A lot of times in golf, we experiment with things to find out if we try a new thing, it might make better ball flight. The definition of experiment is that we're not going to do something as a permanent change. We're going to test something. We have a theory that things may be better if we change it, but we're going to test it, and either things did get better and we keep the change, or they didn't get better, we go back to what we were doing. Many times in golf, you have to do little tests about something. And they begin when you see something that's slightly different than what you would expect to see. If I was to have an experiment with an adjustment of your swing, my first experiment would be with your right hand position on the club. You have what is considered a weak position with your right hand. As a general rule, this crease here should be pointing more this way. And you have it kind of pointed at your sternum, right at the center of your body. That your right hand is on top of the handle a little more than what we would expect to see in the top level players, that they would have that right hand underneath slightly. Now, this is not something I would want you to experiment necessarily on your own because you need someone's eyes outside of you to look back at you to really confirm what your ball flight is and how to tweak this right hand. But you have a tendency to hit the ball very high, and a lot of it is because of the right hand position. You could have a more penetrating ball flight if we slightly change that right hand. I like the left hand. The left hand's in a very good position. As a general rule, we like to see the creases of both hands kind of be parallel to each other and going between the right ear and right shoulder. And your left hand is kind of doing that, but your right hand is not. In this picture, I'm comparing your grip position to four of the pros: Tom Watson, Tiger Woods, Anthony Kim, and Jasper Parnevik. I've drawn a red arrow showing the direction of the back of that index finger, and you'll see that red arrow is pointing towards the shaft, and if extended, it would eventually cross the shaft. So it's pointing toward the shaft, the back of that forefinger. The back of your forefinger is pointing away from the shaft, which is an indication of a weak position. Now, the purpose of that position is to get the plane of the palm of the hand in the same plane as the face of the club, so that when you strike the ball, your right hand is basically hitting the back of the ball with the palm of the hand. And you have your palm more facing down to the ground, and it's not in the same plane as the face of the club, and that'll have a tendency to open the club face through impact when you have it in that position. The other difference is when you curl that forefinger underneath the shaft, you don't curl it as tight as they do, or as close to the other fingers as they do. You're more in the palm of the hand with the handle, and they're more in the fingers, and they're just doing light pinches with the forefinger and the thumb. And you have it a little bit deeper in the hand. The crease in between their thumb and hand is a lot longer crease than yours, because you wrap your thumb and your forefinger around the handle slightly different. And so if you have some of those days where you kind of feel like you're scooping the ball and it's going high and right, going to be probably attributed to the right hand position. So if we did work together one time, I would certainly want to investigate the possibility and see how your ball flight might change, and get your feedback then. Have you hit some balls with it a little bit? I would show you how to position that right hand slightly different, let you hit some balls with it, and then you give me the feedback of what it feels like. Plus, we're both going to look and see what it looks like on the ball flight. But typically when I make a change from this position to a slightly stronger position, the experience is that they have a more penetrating ball flight. It becomes easier to draw the ball when they want to. Now, maybe it just will not work with your swing, and you can always go back. But in order to take you're already a single-digit handicapper. I think Carrie said that you're like an 8 handicap. That's excellent. That's outstanding. Less than 15% of golfers can break 90, and you're already at an 8 handicap. So that's great. But to get you to a 2 or a 3 handicap down the road, I think you would have to make that grip change. And so my goal is to take you in far as I can, reach your ultimate potential. And I think you have such natural athleticism and natural ability with your golf swing that just adding some refinement to it might just really do wonders. So that's the only thing I would suggest that we work out. I'm not going to put it in the category, these are what I would change. I'd put it in the category, these are things I'd like to experiment with. But you've got a really good game, and we just want to make it better.